Hi everybody, welcome to my patio so you can get on the patio with Rusty Blackwood again. Um, this is August 19th. It's a Monday night and it says on my clock here 7:22, so it's a bit later than what I normally do it, but waiting for the sun to get over the roof enough so that the light is much better. It's like super bright. It's not washing me out, and but it's still nice and light out so that everything is seen nice. You can see the greenery here and the light back that's filtering through the leaves behind me. Excuse me for a moment. and um, and so here we are, video 5. I don't know just how many of these I'm going to do. I don't want to I don't want to take it on and on and on, because I certainly don't want to rag your ear to the point where you become bored. But I do want to talk about some things like I've been doing in my videos so far, um, because I like to share with those of you who obviously, you're unaware of what goes on in the world of writing and self-publishing, and also for anyone that is contemplating taking up the craft or is already doing so, just starting out. So I hope some of these little tidbits that I give you um, will be of help, sort of, a little bit of guidance, a little bit of advice. As I said before, each writer has to find what best works for them. You've got to find the path that is best suited to you, regardless of what may work for somebody else. But, it may work for them, but it may not work for you. And your method may not work for them. So it's sort of like a dozen of one and half a dozen of another. You just sort of have to play around to find out what best works for you in the best possible way. And so, I was talking the other night about thinking back about early beginnings and what it was like, and some of the stuff that came my way out of, I don't know, to this day I still don't know, um, whether it was resentment, whether it was jealousy, whether it was just spite because I wasn't taking her advice. I really don't know. But as I say, there was no excuse for it. And for those of you who wonder what I'm talking about, I'm not going to go through it all again tonight. Just refer to video 4 and you'll find out what I'm referring to. But anyway, as I say, I mean, it was, it just caused a lot of unnecessary, um, embarrassment and heartache and just grief. It was like go out of their way to make sure nobody would buy my work. Um, I mean, what are you supposed to do when somebody does that? There really isn't a heck of a lot you can do. You just sort of have to take a deep breath and grit your teeth, dig in your heels, and carry on. I don't know what else you can do in a situation like that. But that's a long time ago. Um, I've traveled many, many roads since then, and with decent success, I could add. Um, I mean, things can always be better. Sales could be better. Um, you know, ideas could continue to flood your head. Um, I get tons and tons of ideas all the time. I get inspired by a lot of different things. And I always have been that way. I can get inspired by just walking through the woods, um, sitting by the water, listening to the birds, listening to the crickets, and this time of the year, the cicadas, and just letting my imagination and my mind drift. And it's amazing what can come to mind. Um, and sometimes, they're good ideas, and other times they're not the best. I mean, I've come to know what is worth, working on, maybe carrying that on, and as opposed to something that, oh well, I don't know about that. It might be okay, but then again, um, I just really don't think that there's an audience for it, or that it's just a little too out of my comfort zone, or my realm, or my genre. Um, my favorite genre to write is romantic fiction drama. I love it. Um, I love creating stories that can make you cry, can make you very anxious to turn the page, see what happens. I can also make you maybe second guess yourself on what you think about something, and find out if I'm talking about that thing, um, that's not the way you perceived it or the way you thought it would be at all. Um, I like writing endings that really could continue. Um, it could end there, or it could be like Stephen King likes to do. Um, put your own ending to it. Whatever you think happens to the protagonists, and or even the antagonists. Like, what becomes of them? What happens to them? I did that in Passions in Paris. The original Passion in Paris, as well as the revised grand scale Passions in Paris, Revelations of a Lost Diary. When I created Philippe Robillard, the antagonist of the story, I created him specifically to cause as many problems as he could, and then I was going to kill him off. Bye bye. But the more I wrote him, and the more I thought about him, um, he really is a character that has got a lot of color to him, a lot of dimension, and a lot of different sides. And you really don't find it all out until you get through the story to the end. And some people may still hate him. There's no excuse for what he does, but when you find out about him, his past, and all the things that happened to him throughout his childhood and his adulthood, it can help you to possibly understand him a little bit better and why he does the things he does. But that's a classic case of creating an antagonist with the intentions to, cause as much disruption as they can, and it's up to the writer to decide what they want to do with them, whether they want to, like what I did, let him go on and reveal him, or whether he goes off into the sunset in a nice way or a horrific way or whatever. And so that's an example there of when you create characters. That is my very favorite part of writing. I love to create characters. Um, most of my characters they're fictional. They don't exist. in real life. There are some that I have based on people I've known, um, or a number of people I've known, and taking this from this one and that from that one, and maybe a little bit of physical appearance, or maybe personality, or physical build, or whatever, and put them into a character. But the majority of my characters are totally fictitious. Um, they obviously lived in my head, and I gave them a chance to come out and go about their business. Um, I've got my favorite characters, and I have some that, if they actually existed in life, I would love to meet them. I think it would be fantastic to meet them and sit and talk with them and pick their brain, and find out if they really are the way I created them. Um, or whether I would be the one that would be totally surprised to think that, oh my, I gave I gave life to that type of thing. But it's fun. That, as I say, it's my favorite part of the writing process. I create my characters first, and then I come up with a story to put them into that I think would be best suited to them, and where they can go about their business and they can flourish, and they can pull you right into the book, and take you down fascinating roads that you never thought possible. So before I did the video tonight, I was thinking a bit about, you know, exactly what I wanted to talk about. And and I have in my videos, though, so far, I have talked about early beginnings. Um, well, basically, without the early beginnings, there wouldn't be Rusty Blackwood today. I would have given up long ago, thrown the pen in. But that's not me. Um, when I get something in my head that I'm determined to do, I'm not going to let anybody stand in my way, and I'm not going to let anybody tell me no. And, you know, especially, like, fine example, what I had spoken about earlier. And if anything, that just made me that much more determined to do what I love to do. And I was not going to be told I couldn't do it, um, or, you know, that I was going to be laughed at and made fun of if I continued. Um, I know my ability. I knew my ability then. Um, and since then, of course, you know, my ability has grown because I've taught myself things that I did not know then. And, um, and it all works to help you continue to move ahead. And so, one thing from the early beginnings that comes to mind that I'd like to share is, and this is with my original Passion in Paris, the two-part. So we're going back to 2010, 2011, because Passion in Paris, Connections to the Past came out in 2010, and it was followed in 2011 by Directions of the Heart. And I was doing a signing for both of those books at a Kohl's here in St. Catharines, and Penn Center Kohl's, actually. It's the biggest shopping center here, big mall, and actually has turned out to be one of my very favorite bookstores to return to with my different titles, which I have over the years. And great staff, great support, good outreach, uh, really, really easy to work with, the management there, and they are great supporters of their local talents, their local authors, and so it's always, for me, it's always a pleasure to go back there. And But this was back, as I say, with my first Passion in Paris, and it was at the time that 50 Shades of Grey sprung on the scene, and um, and of course I was there doing a signing for Passion in Paris, and uh, and I had this tiny little table at the one entrance. There's two entrances into the store, and I had mine at the one of the entrances to the store, and so I was sitting there with my books, and of course between the entrances to the store, they had this humongous display of 50 Shades of Grey, and as I recall, it was the very first part of the trilogy that came out eventually in 3 parts. And well, if I hadn't witnessed it myself, I would have never believed it. Um, there was this display there that must have been a table 6 feet wide with books piled up probably at least 4 feet high, if not higher. And it was unbelievable. The amount of middle-aged women that were there in tracksuits and you name it. I didn't see any curlers, but um, it just it just looked like they just ran out of the house with whatever they had on, and were there, literally crawling over each other to grab, not reach, but grab at these copies of this title. Now, mind you, the hype around that book was phenomenal. Um, I would never, ever speak ill of another author, whether they're self-published or Standard House or whatever they are. But if I had been Stephanie Myers, the author of the Twilight series, I would have taken the author of 50 Shades to task for, you know, the storyline. I'm just going to leave it at that. But the author of 50 Shades had good connections. She had an endless budget, monetary budget, and she was extremely savvy when it came to marketing to get that book out there like that, with that kind of hype. And of course, once the Standard House that eventually picked 50 Shades up could see the money that they were losing, I'm sure if she'd gone to them first and foremost with the book, with the manuscript, um, I have my doubts that she would have gotten picked up. But because they could see the potential, the money that they weren't making, um, they jumped right on the bandwagon and picked her up and started pumping these books out then in the trilogy, and they were everywhere. But so, these women, if it was entertainment to them, then that's wonderful, because that's what you read a book for, is to be entertained and enjoy yourself. Otherwise, you would not be reading that particular book. But I'm sure a lot of it was because of the hype surrounding the book before it ever hit the bookstores. And and so the book was flying out of there faster than birds in flight shit through a goose. That's a good comparison. And and so here I am, sitting there with my two offerings there at this little table. And there was one woman who came into the store. She wasn't amongst the the group that was climbing over each other trying to grab copies of 50 Shades. And first she came in, when she first came in there, she was facing me, and she saw me there with, these two novels, and she sort of looked down her nose. She was no different than the group that was pawing away at the books. Um, I can't recall exactly what she was wearing, but I mean, it was nothing spectacular. And so anyway, she stopped when she saw me, and it was like, oh, who are you? Like, what's this? You wrote that? Huh. And she put her hands up, and she sidled across in front of me until she got far enough where I couldn't grab at her, just in case I did, and just shot right into the bookstore. I thought, okay, you see a lot of stuff when you're sitting behind a table doing a book signing. It's amazing what you see. And so I didn't think anything more about it. She went on in the store looking for whatever she went in there for. Well, instead of leaving out the other entrance, which she could have very easily done, she came back to where I was. And she comes up there, and she realized, oh, is she still here? And so this time she turns her back to me, makes sure she gets her derriere right up in front of me, and sidles again, sideways, bouncing, out, right up between me and the table where all these books were and all these women were, gets out until she could make sure there was no possible way that I could make a grab at her, and just again shot right away as though somebody shot her out of a cannon, down the corridor of the mall, on the dead run. Honestly, was I emitting some kind of odor? Was I should have maybe checked myself. Maybe I was, maybe there was a sign or flashing above my head that I didn't see that, like, stay back. This is an independent author with an independently published book. Stay away. You will not like it. Don't even think about giving it a chance. You won't like it. How could you like something like that? And so, I mean, if I hadn't witnessed this with my own eyes, if I've met some wonderful authors, local authors, that we go around and we're on different writing events, like the rosters we're on together. We're there, and we get to know each other, and we support each other extremely well. We purchase each other's books, and you help each other. And and one lady that I have come to become very, very close friends with, I was telling her about this happening. She 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 practically, trying to refrain from totally full belly laughs, because if you could picture it in your mind, what I witnessed, it was just unreal. And when you go around, you get a lot of happenings like that. You get people walk by. There's a lot of people, especially like in chapters, for instance, because in the mall, when you're doing events and signings in the mall, you're right at the very front of the store. This is where they put you. Um, Now, at this same Kohl's that I was just speaking about, now instead of putting you at the edge of one of the entrances, they put you right out front and center, right at the middle of the two entrances either side, and you're right out there, front and center. Nobody can miss you. And they keep the displays of books and stuff back. So, I mean, they are promoting you, they are presenting you that particular day. And so now it's great compared to like back then. And but in chapters, you're in the store. Um, you're not in a mall, like the chapters could be in a mall, but I mean, where you are, you're right in the store, usually right up by the main entrance coming into the store, not from the mall, but the main entrance of the store. And there are a lot of people that come in, and you're there, and they see you there, and they're very good. Like they will come up and they'll stop and they'll talk with you, and I mean, you got your signage and everything is there, so they know who you are and things like this. And if you got one title, or if you got more than one title, whatever, you have them all displayed for people to see. And of course, you're open and helpful, and you're ready to answer any questions that they may have, and be as open and accepting as you can be without being pushy. I mean, that's the last thing I want. If I'm, regardless of what I'm shopping for, uh, I don't appreciate somebody pushing whatever it is at me or on me. And so, therefore, I mean, I'm not going to do that to somebody else that, they're kind enough to stop and take interest in what I have there, that I'm an author and I have my work there. And I welcome them to browse it and look through it and ask me anything that they may wish to ask me. And oftentimes, I mean, sometimes I've had prospective readers stop and discuss all kinds of things, nothing to do with writing, nothing to do with books or the title that I have there at the time. Um, so I mean, and I think most any writer, any author is going to do the same thing. Um, and you hope that, the conversation will come back to the book, and you can discuss it more. And of course, you hope that they'll pick up a copy, and you let them know that you're there from whatever hours you're there for that particular day, and you're there to sign copies of the book. A lot of people love to have a book personally signed by the author. Um, in some cases, and I'm talking about authors that are extremely famous authors, they're celebrities, and for them to get their autograph, for them to sign their book, you pay for it. I don't know that I agree with that, but that's the way it can sometimes be. I was doing a signing at Indigo Chapter, or Indigo Ancaster, down by Hamilton a year ago, and there was a very well-known um, hockey legend that was going to be coming there, either whether it was the next day or the next week, and of course the signage for this person was, you could not miss it. Um, Oftentimes we self-published authors do well to get a little, an 8 by 10 signage on the table, of who we are and what we're there to sign, things like that. Um, whereas this person had humongous banners. They had banners hanging for this person, and it was really funny because on the signage, the store had the rules to be followed for people wishing to get a copy of his book signed. And I remember reading it, and it was saying like there would be two lines that would form in front of where his table was going to be. Everyone must stand in single line, single form. Already have the copy in your hand. When you approach him and your turn comes, you lay the book down. He will sign the book. There will be no socializing. There will be no asking for a picture with the author. Do not waste his time. Get the book signed. Get the book up to the cash and pay for it. Yeah, that's the way it was. And where in all the bookstores that I've ever signed in, you do well to have someone that works in the store tell anybody that we have local author Rusty Blackwood here signing whichever title. I have had that happen where with the people that greet when you come in the store, they will greet you with, and they'll talk about the specials they have on that day. If you purchase $25 or $35 worth of whatever it is you buy, then you can get this lovely throw for an added $15 or whatever. And the odd time they have said, and we also have so and so here until 4 o'clock today or 4:30 signing copies of the latest book. And if you get a chance, do stop by the table and say hello. Well, and that's great. But there again, like it's amazing what happens when you are a celebrity, when you have a name that is known worldwide, how the red carpet is literally rolled out to you, as opposed to those of us who, you work within the rule. You try to apply the rules of writing to your work and present it as good as you possibly can, um, and hope for the best. And marketing this is one thing that I didn't mention in earlier videos about marketing. Um, it is most important, and it is most important to have someone who knows what they're doing, um, that can get you out there before the public's eye and keep you there and keep your work there, whether it's in person or whether it's online, to continually keep the titles in front of the reader's eyes as well as you, because the old saying, out of sight, out of mind, is very, very true. um, I have worked with two very, very good marketing people and publicists, and the one that I started with back in 2011, he's going to think that I've fallen off the earth or something. Excuse the motorcycle here. I've got a hot hog going around the corner. Bye-bye now. When you're on the patio, what can you expect? And so, um, But he has done all of my theatrical trailers. He looks after my website. Um, he puts out my official press releases, and just a great guy all around. And over the years, I've never met him in person, um, but I would like to. I mean, we speak on the phone enough that we've become, we know each other very, very well. And I've recently started working with a lady who, great person. She's got a fantastic personality, and she's an author herself, but she conducts her own media services, and she's got so many connections online with different blogs and different book outlets that I didn't even begin to know about these places, or they even existed, and it shows in the sales of the Perils of Autumn. Um, and that's what marketing is for. That's why you have someone doing this for you, um, because it's not an easy job. My hat is off to these people because it's not an easy chore. And so I am most thankful to both of my marketing people, and and I thank them very much for doing what they do for me, doing what they have done, and what they continue to do. Um, so there again, there's a little bit more, free advice for those of you who, you know, do with it what you will. Take it to heart, or write it down, or don't listen. Whatever. It's entirely up to you. Um, but as I say, uh, when I started, I didn't have anybody to share things with me, or to talk to me and tell me about things, or give me advice, and share experiences with me. So I'm very pleased. I'm glad to be able to do this. I mean, I follow my own instincts, and what I think I should do, and give this a try or give that a try. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't work. But if I don't try, then I'm not going to know. And so with that, I'm going to close my video tonight. And again, thank each one of you that kindly watch these videos, and please comment them. Give me some feedback. Let me know whether or not I'm just sitting here wasting my time, or whether you really are enjoying what it is that I'm doing, at least trying to do. And so let me know. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I've had this channel forever and ever, and my subscribers, the number of my subscribers is almost embarrassingly low. So it would be nice to see a few more. You know, subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and check in from time to time, and check out my other videos that I have on my channel. There's a number of them that I've done. I've done quite a few series of Evening with Rusty Blackwood, reflections, or interludes and things like this. Um, but this series, Get on the Patio with Me, is my first live series that I've done, where I'm talking to you here and you're right there, and very impromptu and very candid, and I'm enjoying it. I've enjoyed each one that I've done, um, and I look forward to continuing for a little while. As I say, it's a summer series, and summer is fast leaving us. And so, but I will be doing a few more anyway. So I will say good night for now, and thank you again for being with me tonight. And take care of yourselves. Be well. God's blessings to each of you, and I'll talk to you soon. Good night for now.